So, you want to sell your business, or a tech startup, or e-commerce shop. In this video, I'll walk you through our own experience of selling the startup. And this is the plan. We recently sold our startup, and so many questions I've got from so many people that I decided to create a video about that. First, let's talk about the process. A startup, business, or a company could be sold in different ways: through M&A bankers, merchant acquisition bankers, investment bankers, or M&A platforms. Depending on the option, there will be different price of selling your business. For investment bankers, the commission would be like 5 to 12% after the purchasing, and sometimes there's also a fee upfront. For platforms, there could be a subscription as well as like some percentage from the purchasing price. But each platform is different, and I can tell you that on acquire.com, for example, there is like no subscription fee to list your business or startup there, and you just need to pay 4% in the end of successful transaction. There's why I think it's one of the most convenient way for founders to list their startup business there. Let's talk about platforms. Companies. I found that this is the most convenient and safe way to do so. It's cheaper in terms of commission, somewhat faster, and has more established process. And many people can support you along the way because they have entire team of support. And trust me, you really need that support, and you need some people who will answer the questions, because this is something what founders not doing on daily basis, and you really will have lots of questions. So this is a cool feature to have a customer support about selling your business. When we decided to sell our startup, I registered on different platforms like acquire.com, Flippa, and Tiny Acquisitions. On each platform, we evaluated our startup worth, aka price. The M&A platforms were not the only place where we've got some offers. We also had a great network, we attended the right events, and we have great partners. So the proposals were coming from different places. And at the end of the video, you will understand which offer we ended up with. But I promise that this video will be a guide to M&A platforms, right? So let's get to the next step, required documents. On each platform, these documents are required. A short summary of your startup/company, information about you as a seller, including passports or any other documents which can provide and prove your identity. I had a driving license as well as ID card of California resident, so that was my documents. Also, you need to connect your Stripe or any other platform that you are using for all transactions, if you have any. This will be a proof of your revenue. Google Ads account, Google AdWords to show you traffic to the website. You can choose automatic updates of the data or manual. And then you need to describe your product. What is your stack, aka what you are using to build the startup and what you are using for operation. Also describe your customers, your user base, your revenue, and your profit. Another part would be to list your competitors. At the end of the video, I'll give you some tips what to include and what not to include in this section, so please watch till the end. So here's a quick overview of the account where I sold the startup. As you see here, there is the information. Here is the part where you can have a communication with the potential buyers. Here is the part where you go for a process of due diligence. I'll explain due diligence in a second. Here also you can find all necessary information and reach out to support. They really respond to you. And right now, let's jump to the next very important question of every founder. Is it safe to list your startup there or not? First of all, I want to clarify that potential buyers should pay the subscription fee to see the listing of the startups, businesses, e-commerce shops, and so on. I guess they can browse up to 3 companies for free. And they also will receive email campaigns with every new company which was listed on the platform, and just short explanation what the revenue, what is the asking price, and just short description, but not that much. And if they want to access, they need to have a subscription. So this is also a filter for scammers, right? So they need to pay in order to see the information. The next thing is that the buyer cannot see the name of the company. Also, the buyer cannot see any specific details like on what it was built or, for example, like detailed description of the business until they sign NDA, non-disclosure agreement. You can set up automatic acceptance of the NDA or evaluate every potential buyer to do the screening of their personality before accepting the NDA and sharing the details of the company and the name. But even though I'm so sorry to tell you, but scammers could be everywhere. In my experience, there were some buyers which pretended to be buyers. Of course, they want to know more about the company, they wanted something else but not to buy. So that's why evaluate every buyer before you share with them some additional information. And remember, you also should have a lawyer which will protect your rights. Try to find such person before you even start all of this acquisition process and process of selling your business. But other than that, I would say that this is pretty safe way to list your business and try to be acquired through that technology platform. In a bit, I will explain you the transaction and how everything is going. But before the transaction, you need to go through due diligence process. This is when the potential buyer already has signed with you the letter of intent and you started the initial process of the due diligence. If the beginning goes well, then there is a limited time when the buyer can see and can evaluate you, start up your business, and then they have to send you a normal agreement of purchasing the business. If not, they will be just terminated from your startup and you can move on with other potential buyers. After both of you signing the contract, the buyer should send the money through the third-party platform Escrow. This is the platform which Acquire.com is using. So both of you should previously register on that platform as well as exchange bank information, and the seller should send the request of the transaction to the buyer. After the buyer sends the money, Escrow and banks approve the transaction, letting the seller know that right now it's time to transfer the assets of your business to the buyer. And here is the moment where the transaction of the assets is starting, so you start to work collaboratively with two teams, right? Your team with another team. It was in our case like that, so we work together like days, if not weeks, on that process. So we transferred everything what they need and make sure that they receive it. So yeah, software goes in such way, but if you are selling another type of business or e-commerce shop or something else, it might be a slightly different process, depends on what your business is. After that, buyer is approving on Escrow that the transaction of assets is done. It's also some limited period during which both of you should transfer the assets, and then Escrow will send the money to the seller account. So let's summarize everything. You should prepare your documents ahead. Find a lawyer who will approve every contract which you need to sign, and try to find such person way before you start all of acquisition process. And you as a seller should know what you want, the price, the ideal buyer, etc. You also should know with whom you are not ready to work at all. Maybe someone will be so slow, and for you it's so important that this process will be done during like 4 or 6 months. By the way, this is exactly the realistic timeline, and some cases could take even longer periods of time. And still, I'm talking about my own experience, not about selling some unicorn, billion, trillion company, right? And remember, in the beginning, I promised you to explain what you should type in the section where you need to explain the reason why you are selling this business. First, be honest. Second, remember, no one wants to buy something what is not attractive. In our case, we simply can't run multiple things at the same time, and also we believe that in the hands of bigger company, this startup can succeed even more and do 100x and more. And this is the healthy approach. Please do not type something like, oh, I'm tired of this business, I was running this for many years and it's still not what I want to have. When you are answering this question, try to be in the shoes of the buyer. Think about them, not about you. So subscribe to this channel if you found it useful, and if you want to know more how to build, grow and sell your startup, watch the next video.